Hugo and I were explaining you today about ionic bonding. An ionic bond is a bond between a cation and an anion. A cation is a positive ion, and you get a positive ion because they lose electrons, and usually to another element or another ion like an anion. An anion usually tries to gain electrons because they want to have a complete octet to become like a noble gas, because they are perfectly balanced and even and energy-wise. A cation is usually a metal that is trying to become like a noble gas, losing it, and an anion is usually a polyatomic ion or another like gas, non-metal element.
Alright, so there's the shape of an ionic compound is crystal, and there's three types of shapes. One's BCC, the other's FCC, and the other one's tetragonal. BCC stands for body-centered cubic, FCC face-centered cubic, and tetragonal. And in BCC, all the anions get pulled into the middle of the crystal because they're trying to take an electron from the cation, because the cation makes them noble, and in order for the cation to become noble, it needs electrons to be released or taken from it. And they have the same charge, but they're in different periods. On the other hand, FCC, they both have the same charge and they're in the same period, and they both get pulled into the middle of the cube because they have the same everything. And on the other hand, tetragonal, the charge, one is like larger, or one is smaller, and in tetragonal, in one direction it's longer because the charge is bigger for one cation or the anion, and so the shape will look like a double pyramid. Alright, so for this particular ionic compound, CaCO2, Ca has a +2 charge, and it's the cation, while chloride has a -1 charge, and it's the anion. And for the bond formation, Ca has 2 valence electrons, while chloride has 7, and they both need to become noble, so Ca would have to lose 2, and chloride would need to gain 1. But we would need 2 chlorides because Ca has 2 valence electrons that it needs to get rid of. So one of the valence electrons will go to the top chloride, leaving calcium with one of them right now, and then the top one will go to the bottom. And so both chlorides will have an octet, and calcium would have 0 valence electrons, making both of them noble. And then this would be the final answer. Calcium +2 has 0 valence electrons, and chloride has 8, an octet. And then, yeah, they're noble. And then the shape would be tetragonal because calcium has a +2 charge, and chloride has a -1 charge. And when you have to make more of one, such as in this case, you have to make more of one anion, then it's going to be tetragonal because they don't have the same charge. And yeah, basically it. And then calcium would become like argon, and chloride would become like argon too.
So, we have not talked about formula unit yet. Formula unit is a representative unit for saying like how many total atoms and cations and anions in the total formula. If you wanted to find that, you would take the grams per mole for the formula, and you would multiply it by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd formula unit. In conclusion, an ionic bond is a bond between a cation and an anion, and they form crystals between each other, and they can form body-centered cubic, face-centered cubic, and tetragonal, and those are unit cells, the basic unit cells. For calcium chloride, or CaCl2, that is tetragonal because they require more than one of each element, or one of them, and they have different charges. And if you wanted to find the amount of elements in each per mole, you would use the transition from mole to formula units because it starts with the metal.